Good morning. It's time for today's AM Minnesota program. My guest today is Sam Ziegler. He's the director of Greenseam. Sam, good morning and welcome back to the program. It isn't like you haven't done this a time or two in the past.
Good morning, Jerry, and thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Well, it's so exciting talking about Greenseam, so maybe we better back up first, Sam, and just tell the folks a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into what Greenseam is. Maybe not everybody has known you as long as I have, but anybody that's been involved in the soybean growers might know you, right?
Yeah, I grew up here in southern Minnesota, just south of Mankato in the Good Thunder area, and spent a career in ag production myself, and working with the soybean growers for quite some time, and we live in a great place.
Well, and that's part of what Greenseam is all about, is to recognize what a great place it is and the economic opportunities that are here and to grow and expand them. So why don't you explain a little bit about Greenseam, Sam, and how it all got started?
Greenseam got started with Greater Mankato growth, really looking back and saying, what industry is here that's a huge economic driver, but we don't talk about a lot. And it became apparent that ag was that industry, and agriculture as a whole. Ag production, the seed, and the natural resources, all the way through the engineering and professional services and research that we have going on in this area. And so in June of 2016, we launched Greenseam, Greenseam is really about, what people think and see when they come to this area from a tourism standpoint, from an economic standpoint, and green is that image, that lushness of the colors, a good portion of the year, except for now, of course, but also from a standpoint of we're a green renewable energy producer, quite strong in ethanol and biodiesel and other renewable sources, but then also from a standpoint of economics. You think about the turndown in our economy, and all the way to the real estate agencies will say, this area did really well. And why it did really well is because we have ag here. We're not limited to just certain types of industries, but we have ag, and we have all sorts of the ag industry here. And so we did well. And so green represents that, and seam represents, bringing people together, seam, holding things together, but also as a coal seam, but as not a coal, but we have the riches. We have the seam of the river valley. We have the seam of the soil. So we are that place that has these bountiful resources and people to connect together, making us the Greenseam, which if you look at our mark or you look at our website, you can see that the logo even looks like a circuit board. That was done on purpose to say ag is technology as well. Ag isn't just producing seeds, but it's technology as well. So that's really what we're about, and it's been exciting last just over 6 months now, 7 months.
When you look at kind of the area that we refer to as Greenseam, it's kind of like the metro area and then kind of a circle angling down to southwestern Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota, maybe a little bit into Iowa?
Yeah, it's kind of that southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, rural, small community area that's got a lot to offer, and all of our cities helping each other out and connecting. It gives us a wealth of information. It gives us a wealth of strength in what we do and what our businesses do. And we might be spread out, but we're all in the game here together. And each of our communities, the largest industry in our communities is ag. And so if we can work together as City of Faribault, Owatonna, Mankato, and Fairmont, if we're all doing well, all these cities are doing well, the ones in between will do well also. And so this is all about really bringing together on a like-minded issue, which is using the power of ag to fuel our economic growth, and concentrate on that and see how we can help our businesses grow.
Well, Sam, if you can stand by, we have to take a quick break for the markets, and we'll continue with today's AM Minnesota program. Here's my guest on today's AM Minnesota program is Sam Ziegler. He's the director of Greenseam. And Sam, just before the market break, you were talking about how Greenseam got started and all these different communities in our listing area were doing their part, promoting agriculture, recognizing what we had. But really, in a nutshell, Greenseam is about the whole area kind of working together and promoting together this tremendous wealth that we have here, all built upon the rich soils that we sit on.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And really, when you look at how to grow our businesses and grow our economies, 80% of growth on average happens from businesses that already exist. So what is it that we can help with, our businesses here to help them grow? We're learning a lot. I've been out with a lot of businesses and talking to them and finding out what concerns they have. Some of them are people don't know about them. And sometimes it's even people within our area. They might offer a service or provide a product, but people not that far away don't know about it. So how do we highlight that? But also to the other extent of, it appears that currently one of the larger road bumps that we have for employers is the shortage of people, both trades, but also skills and higher education. So it's kind of across the gamut, and I think we have our hands full a little bit to let people know that this is an exciting place to move to. It's not just small communities, but these are great communities that have a lot to offer. And within a 40-minute drive in this region, you can get a long ways. And you can't get a long ways in 40 minutes when you're in some metropolitan area. So how do we let people know that there is a lot of job opportunities out here, from engineering down to a shortage of truck drivers right now. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So how do we promote our area that they have lots of job opportunities, well-paid jobs, exciting jobs, with a lot of innovative companies?
I remember the last time we visited, there was some talk about making this area of Greenseam like the Silicon Valley of agriculture, referring, of course, to the Silicon Valley in California in the high-tech area. This is a Silicon Valley of agriculture in maybe the whole United States, right here in our backyard.
Yeah, we kind of coined that phrase probably 3 years ago, of saying, really what we have here, we already have the horsepower and the resources and the strength that we can call ourselves the Silicon Valley of ag. We have renewable fuels to honey production, to milk, to peas, to sweet corn, to processing plants that are doing bread. It's just unlimited, and our professional services that are focused on these companies are right here. We already have the horsepower, but people just don't see us that way. We're a little bit more spread out than a county or than a valley in California, but we already have it. So why don't people always know about it? And I think part of it is it's hard to realize what's all here. Some of these businesses have been around for 100, 150 years. They've been very innovative over the last 150 years to remain in business. So sometimes we take them a little for granted and go, do we know that just within ag product sales that we're almost $15 billion every year in our area? $15 billion every year. And that's been going on for a long time, and we don't always think about it.
I think it's part of maybe those of us that have grown up in this area, we spent our whole lives, and maybe even like you and I involved in agriculture, I still didn't take a step back and look at everything was here until I started talking to you about Greenseam. And then all at once you look at the list like you have on the website and you go, wow, we really have something here. And those of us who are growing up here maybe just took it for granted or didn't recognize it.
I think so. Let's just take food production, for example. We have 194 food production companies, facilities in our area, and that's only counting a company once. So a great company like Hormel that has multiple facilities, we only count them as once on our list. And so there's technically more facilities than that, but 194 companies are in our area doing business with food. It's an amazing thing, all the way to the innovation. Use the Claremont ethanol plant, for example. They don't discharge any water anymore. So the efficiencies that plant has done to capturing CO2, to what they're looking at doing with their investment in doubling the size of their facility, investing a lot in that community. Well, those dollars turn around in the community then, from the construction workers that most would say, well, that's not ag. Well, they're building an ag facility. Faribault Foods, look at the expansion that they have going on there.
Boy, that's an incredible building up there. Wow.
What a great company. And, what's really cool about that is a Mexico company now owns that, and they're investing 100% of that money. So it's really important that we look at ag, not just local and how it impacts us, but how it impacts global as well, and how trade and things work. Because Faribault Foods is a great example. I think they're putting over $100 million into that facility, going to double their production, going to do all kinds of great things. And so that's innovation. And they're going to be here for another 100 years, I hope.
Well, and then look at a little ways to our left, or to our west. Waseca, I grow sweet corn and peas under contract for Bird's Eye Foods or Pinnacle. And here's another vegetable company right over there.
That is a great example. Pinnacle's there doing sweet corn or peas, but in the off season, they're doing all kinds of vegetables, packaging and cleaning and doing things with. So they're not just a pea and corn facility anymore. They're handling a lot of things. Frank, their general manager there, spoke last year at Waseca Ag and City Day, and explained what they're doing. And I didn't know that we're doing all that. But you think also in Waseca, you have the Ag Utilization Research Institute. That's helping companies bring products to life. You have the University of Minnesota with a huge research facility there, from swine to crops to all kinds of work. So we have more resources and more here than we realize. And when I just look at ag, sometimes it's hard. You think ag, it's producers, it's farmers, it's Pinnacle Foods, it's those, that's ag. But what we forget sometimes is the professional services and the expertise, some of the expert sector, of saying to a law firm or accounting firm or insurance firm, well, who's your customer? Who are you doing work for? What is that expertise that you're really good at? And what I find talking with them is that they'll say, yeah, I work with audits of this, or I work with litigation or patents on this, and that's ag as well. And sometimes we forget that those expertise, what industry they're really serving. And it goes to the point of, when you look at a pie chart of our economy, ag isn't really on there. There's a very, very small sliver of ag, because there's less than 2% of us today that are in production agriculture, and so they're not really represented. But there's a professional service sector, there's a medical sector, there's research sectors, there's manufacturing sectors. But when you really take that pie chart, what you don't see and what you don't get to eat when you look at a pie is the tin. And what really holds this economy together, and what really is the driver in the background that sometimes is less noticeable, and that's this agriculture, this agribusiness. It's really how we're trying to really get people to understand what Greenseam is doing, is we're almost redefining ag. It's much larger and it's much more impactful than what you can always see in a daily picture. And it's important that we understand that.
Well, my impression of agriculture changed when I was a full-time real farmer and a dairy farmer. I was kind of like the old-fashioned definition, 1 or 2% of the population, because I was actually producing milk, taking care of livestock, raising soybeans and corn and alfalfa. My world of agriculture got a lot bigger when I started here at KDHL, and I started to realize what you might be a computer geek, an engineer. Well, guess what? We use lots of computers in agriculture, and you're working with an agriculture company. You're involved in agriculture. My wife is an occupational health nurse with Hormel, Genio. She's just as involved in agriculture as those of us that are out there in the field raising corn and soybeans.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. There's facilities in the Greenseam that are producing pigs for human health. They're not producing pigs for meat. 100% ag. We have just a phenomenal wealth of things happening. When we look at this area, we talk about 800 businesses that are really in ag, and I know we're missing some. But what Gary Noble is doing with bioplastic solutions in Blooming Prairie is figuring out ways to use products from corn and soy to make renewable plastics. But you don't necessarily think of a plastic company as ag. But there they are working in that way. And so I think it's an asset that it's hard to get your arms around. It's so big. But Greenseam is trying to take that and really say, let's really grow our economy and what we're really good at. And we're really good at things related to agriculture. So why not utilize these tools?
And you can relate that right back to these fertile soils that we're on again, because we can produce a feed for livestock, and that requires all this infrastructure and all these people that we've been talking about. We haven't mentioned turkeys, or what about milk? I just sat here and jotted down. Milk production. We always keep hearing about milk production is decreasing in Minnesota. Number of farms, but those farms that we do have a lot more cows. Look at milk production. Land O'Lakes ring a bell. How about AMPI, Le Sueur Cheese, Hastings Co-op Creamery, Plainview? Just all within, 45, 50 miles of where I'm sitting here at the studio.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That the milk is a great thing. Why you don't think of Blue Earth County, you don't think of Steele County, you don't think of counties right here in kind of southern Minnesota, thinking, what do they have to do with, dairy? Well, we don't produce we're not the top milk producing counties in the state, but we have a lot of milk processing in the region. And pigs the same way. The amount of income that is generated and revenue that circulates in the community because of the livestock industry is crucial. And you look at how these facilities are built with all the way to the point of filtering the outside air before it goes into the barn so the pigs don't get sick. Those innovation companies are happening here in the Greenseam region that are innovating those and selling those filtration systems around the world because they're working. And the other way around, the amount of nutrients that come from livestock manure that is valued and turned around into basically an organic fertilizer. How cool is that we can produce meat for protein for families right here. We can also produce the fertilizer to go back in to grow the corn and the soybeans to go back into the feed. That's a huge economic driver in our region. I think sometimes we forget how important some of those basic things are, and we're getting better. They're getting better at them every day.
Well, agriculture is so much bigger than just us having a full tummy, isn't it?
It is, but it's something also that when I got to travel overseas with the soybean growers when I did international marketing, I really took it for granted what food was. There's a lot of people around this world that wishes they could have a meal, and we usually take one for granted and eat whatever we want almost every day. There's also people here that don't get to eat every day, and I think we have to be aware of that as well.
One of the other advantages of this area is if you like some of the cultural things of a larger metro area, from where I sit, I can be to downtown Minneapolis in 45 minutes, but yet I don't have to live there.
Right, for sure. One of the growing ag sectors that sometimes isn't also thought about ag, but is agritourism. We're getting a lot of people to come to rural Minnesota now because of wineries, because of breweries. There's some people growing hops now in a region, changing, doesn't take a lot of acres, but it's a growing demand. I think there's a grower right there by Owatonna.
So how is this actually working day to day then with Greenseam? How are you getting this message out about what an incredible area this is and what it offers to a company maybe thinking about expanding, or maybe a company dealing with agriculture in some way actually locating here? That's kind of the theme, isn't it, of Greenseam, to try and brag, tell our story?
Yeah, so we really want to help businesses grow and expand, and we also want to help businesses that would fit really well into our region and feel welcomed here. And so I'm just trying to work to make connections. So in some regards, I've been in meetings with individual companies that are having some challenges or looking for connection or looking to expand, and how can I connect them with the Department of Economic Development? How can I connect them with other folks that could be an asset in their team when they expand? In other regards, I've been taking some phone calls from investors. They're saying, "Hey, I'm hearing about there's Greenseam's happening, and I'm looking for some companies to invest in." So from an angel investment type organizations, and so hopefully help them connect with folks that potentially are could use some additional resources to take their company or to the next level. That's what we're about. We want to be that. We want to be that person to help connect when it comes to anything in regards to ag. And so, if we get a phone call and they say, "Hey, I want to be located by this, and this. I'm going to need X, Y, and Z for power and stuff," then I can connect them with the city economic development folks that know their city water, they know their city's power and streets and all those things, and say, "Hey, here's a company. Can you help them out?" And every company is not going to fit in every city. And so what you find is that there'll be a handful of cities that reply back, and then when you start digging into really what they want, it just narrows it down to an area that would really work for them and help them grow in it. And then in other circumstances, businesses saying, "Hey, I'm really short on this type of people or this type of service. I think I have to move to the Chicago. I think I have to move to Denver." And try to say, "Hey, let's try to help this. Let's try to figure out how to retain that business in our area." And maybe it doesn't fit exactly where they're located now, but hopefully they'll stay within the area, and we can find them with an area that does have more connection to that type of job or that type of excess of people or skills, and retain them in our area and not watch them leave.
Or if they do leave, come back. But really, why do you have to leave to get an education? That's something we haven't even mentioned yet. But look at all of the colleges in this area to provide the training for the workforce that this area needs.
The education is a big part. And right now we're having that conversation with our colleges of saying, we don't need ag programs in every college, but having a conversation about agribusiness and agriculture and what it means and how businesses interact is something that I'm hearing from our business leaders, such as our steering committee and others that I've been out talking with, that says you don't necessarily need to train them how to farm, but if you teach them some of the basics of this in college and how it relates into the College of Business or how it relates into the College of Engineering or how it relates into mechatronics. And once the students see that there is a lot going on out there, there's eye-opening. And so example was I was in a high school just last week and talking with 10th and 11th graders about job opportunities, and I shared with them some numbers that the University of Minnesota and AURI did. It shows that the average ag bioscience career in southern Minnesota is paid $81,000 a year. And you should have seen the kids say, "Wow, I can be in ag biosciences," which is kind of the value added portion to ag. So it's looking at all those value added stream components, from microbial to plastics to how it connects with medical, cosmetics. There's a lot of agriculture products in cosmetic, and they're like, "Really? That's $40 an hour?" Every single kid in the class raised their hand and wished they could make $40 an hour. And in fact, the teacher did too. But
there's a radio announcer that would like to too.
Exactly, and that was a real study showing And it also showed, that same study said, of the ag bioscience that we have in the state of Minnesota, 65% of it is in southern Minnesota. So how do we share that information? It's out there. But our young minds don't even realize it. So education is important, Jerry.
Well, Sam, we only have about a minute and a half left, but how can people find out more about Greenseam and maybe help a little bit too? Start with the website, maybe?
Yeah, the website is greenseam.org, and we are also on Facebook and Twitter, and so you can find us there as well. Same thing, Greenseam. Greenseam Region is our handle for Twitter. And if you want to just call and visit directly with me, my number is 385-6672, and I'm based out of Mankato here.
Or maybe if you're a business that is looking for some help, you're a place to start.
Yeah, start with me. Or start with your local Chamber of Commerce. Right there in Faribault has been a great resource and a great partner with us here at Greenseam. So is the Owatonna Partnership, as well as Waseca and Austin. So you can reach out to them as well, and they can get you connected with me too.
Well, Sam, I hope to check in with you maybe a little ways down the road, see how things are going. But it's just mind-boggling to think about what we have here, and maybe part of it is we just need to appreciate it and recognize it.
And I think each of us need to tell our story, and when you talk to somebody, say, hey, have you heard? I'm a part of the Greenseam. Are you a part of the Greenseam? And get that message flowing that this is a great place to be.
We've got to go to the news. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Jerry.
Sam Ziegler, Director of Greenseam. And here's ABC News.